Okay, welcome. Today I'm going to talk about two libraries that are in the C language. The first is string.h, pound include string.h, and the next one is ctype.h. Now we're not going to do much on ctype.h. I'm just going to use one function in ctype.h, which is the toUpper function. But in string.h, we're going to do an exercise. We're going to do Pig Latin. And so I'm going to do a bunch of functions. We're going to use string length, string copy, strn copy, string cat, strncat, and strn compare. Now, these are not the only functions in the string.h library, but they are functions that we're going to do in this exercise, which is Pig Latin. So before we get started on that, let's talk about what we're going to be doing with Pig Latin. So with Pig Latin, what happens is you get a word and you modify that word. And the main thing is putting AY at the end, but there's also rules that you're going to apply to the word based on what the word starts with. So based on what the word starts with, there's going to be 3 different rules that can be applied to a word. So the first one is if the word starts with TH, CH, SH, PH, WH, or QU, you're going to do one rule. If the word starts with A, E, I, O, or U, you're going to do a different rule. And if the word starts with any other letters, then you'll apply rule 3. And this is not what it ends with, this is what it starts with. We are going to be modifying the ending by putting AY, but the rules go along with what the word starts with. So if the word starts with any of these letters, TH, CH, SH, PH, WH, or QU, you're going to apply one rule. So it's best by example. Say the user enters the word phone. Then what you're going to do is you're going to determine that it is that rule because it starts with a PH, and then you're going to make a new word, and that new word is going to be, you're going to take the first 2 letters of that word, move them to the end, and then put AY at the end. So if the user enters the word phone, then you're going to make a new word called that's going to be onfe. If the user enters the word quit, that new word is going to become itque. Rule 2. Rule 2 is very easy. If the word starts with A, E, I, O, or U, like the word ocean, for example, then that's going to become ocean A. You're just going to put AY at the end of the word. Or the word apple, that word would become apple A. So if it doesn't fall into the category of rule 1 or rule 2, it would be rule 3, and that is any other word that doesn't fall into the other categories. So a word like car, a word like bus, both of these, a word like train, all 3 of these words are in the any other category. So what you do with that is you're going to take the first letter of the word and put it on the end and add AY. So car, it would become RK, bus would become usbay, and train would become rain tay. Oops, that should be a Y. Rain tay. All right, so now that we understand what the rules are, and I understand that train has a cluster, and it probably in real Pig Latin should be aintre, but we're just going to pick these clusters right here for our exercise. All right, so let's move on now and create the algorithm and steps for this assignment. All right, so number 1, I always like to start out with a greeting. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to greet. Then number 2, we will get a word. And of course, getting a word involves a prompt. Then number 3, we're going to make the word into all capital letters. And then number 4, we're going to copy the first 2 letters. And the reason we're going to make a copy of the first 2 letters is so that we have those 2 letters available in case that's what we want to, in case it follows under Rule 1. And then if it falls under Rule 3, we are going to need the first letter, so we're going to copy the first letter. And after we do that, we're going to store and have available the first 2 letters. We're also going to store and have available the first letter. And then we're going to determine which rule it is. And then we're going to apply the rule to a new word. Okay, so now let's just get started with a little visual of this, and then we will start writing some code. So first you greet the user. That's just a printf welcome. Then we ask the user to enter a word. So I'm just making a visual here. So the user's going to, we have a word, and the user's going to enter the word. And let's say, for example, they enter the word what, lowercase w, lowercase h, lowercase a, uppercase t, and again, I am lowercase t, it doesn't matter. I'm making an assumption that you do have some understanding that this is an array. And since I want to work all in one case, I'm going to change this word to all capital letters. You could change it to all lowercase or all capital letters, but I'm going to stick with keeping everything in all capital letters. So I'm going to change my word into all capital letters. Now, if I needed to maintain it, I would have to make a copy, but there's nothing in the requirements that says that I have to do that. I could also ask the user to enter it in all capital letters, but you can't always guarantee that the user is going to do that. So once I've changed the word into all capital letters, then I'm going to have an array that I've already declared and is ready, I'm going to call it 2, and it's going to store and make a copy of the first 2 letters of the word. So I'm going to have these available so that when I go to make my Pig Latin word, I have the first 2 letters stored somewhere to put on to the end. And I'm also going to make a copy of the first letter. So I'm on step 5 here. I will make a copy of the first letter into a different array in case it falls under the rule number 3. Then I have to go through and determine the rule. Well, if I take a look at this, I can determine the rule by testing. So to determine the rule, you would have to test the first 2 letters, then test the first letter, and where I'm going to use if-else conditions to do that. So, and I guess I should number these steps here. This is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and this is 5, and this is 6. And then I'm going to apply the rule. So I have this word. This is my new array that's going to store the word that has been modified. And so how do I apply the rule? Well, in this case, since it's rule number 1, I'm going to have to take from here, I'm going to have to take these letters from here over and put them in here. So I'm going to take the A and the T, and I'm going to show you how to do this with another visual and with code, but let's just understand what we're doing first. Then I'm going to, now I could go back and take the first 2 letters again from this word, but since I've made a copy of them, it's going to be very easy to just use string cat to concatenate these 2 letters onto the end. And then the next step is I'm going to have to add AY to the end. And of course, if I use string cat to do that, I will get the null character at the end. So that would work out very nice. Okay, so this is we're just getting started here. I'm going to make another video now where we're going to actually do this same thing, but we're going to do it with some code.